welcome to Spark TV.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
I am so excited. You are actually the first interview I am doing after I've taken a few weeks off. So I'm super excited to be getting back into it because this is the part of my job that I absolutely love the most, just talking to incredible people. So thank you.
Great, great. Well, let's kick off. Where are we going to go
I
in this conversation?
I love it. Well, I'm so excited as well because you are also one of the first ever Spark mentors. And I'm really excited to dive into that today. Before we get to that, let's just start off by telling everyone who you are and what you do.
So I'm Joe Fisher, about to change my name back to my maiden name, which we might cover on this conversation,
Mm.
to Joe Pugh. So we can talk a little bit about that. But I am head coach and business partner of Leadership Shapers. And we are a company that works with businesses and business leaders of all shapes and sizes. And we really help to grow their leadership capacity and mentoring capabilities is
I
really
love
what we
it.
do. Yeah.
I love it so much. And how did you even get into being head coach and
Mm,
business partner at Leadership Shapers? How
yeah.
did we get
So
here?
it's a long story. I turned 50 last year, about to turn 51. So there's a lot that's gone into getting to this
Mm.
point. Um, I'm originally well, I am Scottish. I still am Scottish, although I am an Aussie citizen, so kind of half half. Like many Aussies are, we started off somewhere else. Um, and I always had this desire, even when I was young, to go traveling and to explore the world. And I don't think that's changed at all in those 50 years. Um, and I've done loads of travel, lived in lots of different countries. Um, and my professional career was in TV commercials production company. So making TV commercials back in the late
Cool.
90s when there was lots of money, lots of long lunches. I got paid nothing, but did get to ride in helicopters and go traveling.
So
Um,
good. There's
so
got to be a
good.
balance. There's got to be some
Oh my
perks.
God. So much fun. And but actually a lot of hard work, and worked on the world's biggest brands, like all the big jobs that would pay a lot of money, and worked with some amazing creatives, directors, um, all sorts of people, and that really elevated my work life, or my work. How would you say?
Like
Like
work ethic.
expectations, yeah, like work ethic,
Mm,
absolutely, to somewhere that I didn't know even existed. And then
wow.
from there, I've kind of again traveled more, lived overseas, worked in ad agencies, ended up in New York for a number of years and worked as chief of staff in my early 30s. So got this big senior leadership role, absolutely, you know, shitting myself. And yeah, quite a monumental moment in my life of going, oh my God, this is amazing, but I don't actually, like, can I do that? The whole imposter
Mm,
syndrome. Hired a coach at that point, which was incredible. And fast track many years later, where I then decided to become a coach myself after having three kids. That kind of, I wanted to get out of that in the advertising industry, which is not particularly family friendly. The family wasn't enjoying my business class trips to Hong Kong and staying in five-star hotels. I was quite liking it, but hey, there's a balance. Um, and so yeah, so I ended up going down that path, studying at the Neuro Leadership Institute 14 years ago, and yeah, becoming a qualified coach. I knew I needed the skills. There's
Mm,
one thing to have the intuition and experience is really good, but also developing skills alongside that was really important. And that's just led me down this road of working with all sorts of different types of companies and people. And also along the way, which we might touch upon, I've also, with my ex-husband, we built up a service-based business during COVID time,
oh,
which
wow.
I came out of this year. So I've kind of gone through a whole life cycle myself within setting up a small business, the hustle, all the challenges that come with being a founding partner of a small service-based business. That's been another learning. So I've kind of, it's like a snowball effect. I seem to have gathered lots of things as I've gone along my journey. And now, yeah, now I am, purely focused on, yeah, coaching, mentoring side of things.
I love it. And oh my God, I have so many questions
There's a lot of
for
questions.
you
There's a lot of
now.
questions.
Oh my God. Okay. So let's start with the small business with your
Mm,
ex-husband,
yeah,
because I think that's going to be juicy.
yeah,
What did you do? How did you navigate working with your partner? Obviously, it's ended, whether that was good or bad. Very interested in that story.
yeah, yeah. So we started just before, well, we started in COVID, and we started up a service based, tree business, and started from absolutely nothing, just the two of us, him with the skills and me with the business savvy. And, you just got to make it work. We had three
Mm,
kids at home. Everyone can relate at COVID time. There's a lot of uncertainty. We didn't know where it was all going. And also at that time, professional development was going down. People weren't hiring coaches, weren't wanting additional training or whatever. So it made sense to go down that route. And so that was 4 years ago. Became really successful, a really successful business.
amazing.
Just putting in the hard yards, setting up the systems, bringing in people who knew more than we did, the
Mm,
accountants, the lawyers, the OH&S, all the things are going, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I can find the answer. I believe in myself enough that I can figure out the answer, or at least figure out where to go for an answer, or at
mm,
least to get the first question answered, or to get a direction. Like, I believed in myself enough to go, what's next? What's next? What's next? And learned a huge amount. Um, it is like it was all encompassing, because you're working from home, you're working with your partner is 7 days a week. It's hard. It's tough trying to
mm.
set boundaries around that. Hiring people, getting more, assets into the business, getting more profit into the business, getting juicy on the numbers, all exciting stuff. And then this year, I've had a tough year. My mum passed away, my
Oh, I'm
marriage
so
broke
sorry.
down, and my brother passed away. So all of these
Oh
things
my
happened.
God. Are
I
you
know,
okay?
in such a I am okay. Thank you for asking. I am okay. I'm okay.
Mm,
Um, and so part of that was, with my marriage breaking down, is no longer being part of that business. So that business
yeah.
still exists and is doing incredibly well, and then pulling myself out of it. So how do you do that? How do
How do you
because
do that?
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. As an employee, you just hand your notice in, don't you? Don't want to work
Yeah.
here anymore. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
totally. Oh
But
my
when
God.
you're
I remember the days. They were fantastic.
hasta la vista, I'm
Yeah.
out of
See
here.
ya. Here's my
Yeah,
laptop. Take all my problems
that's
away.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And because we were, separating with our marriage as well, the business is
Mm,
also part of the assets of that partnership.
yeah.
You go into a business, if you go into a business with anyone at all, at some point that business will at some point cease to exist. Whether you die, whether you're 99 years old and you pass away and then it turns
Yeah.
into something else, or whether you choose to end it, or
Mm,
someone chooses to leave or chooses to sell it or whatever, it will come to an end point at some point
mm.
for the people involved. But you never start out thinking that way. You may along the way think about, could we sell this business? What would it
What
be
would that look
worth?
like? Mm,
What does that look like? Could we buy other businesses? What would that look like? So there's things along the way. Um, but yeah, so then going, okay, I don't want to be. I'm want out. If you're
mm.
a director in Australia, you have to. There's lots of legal paperwork that has to be signed. If you're separating as part of a marriage, then that's part of the matrimonial assets that then has to be worked out if there's a value associated with it that then goes
Wow.
together as part of your separation. So for anybody who's listening who, um, is in a business with their partner, um, it's it's great when it's all when it's all going well, but it can be complicated, more complicated than if it was just, you and me having a business together, where we may have put some provisions aside or done some talking about what do we do at the end and what might that look like and putting together some legal paperwork. I think many husband and wife teams, and there's many of them out there, lots of small businesses have people working together in different capacities. If that either ceases to exist as a business or you want out or the marriage ends or the partnership ends, it's complicated. It's, yeah, you can't just go, I'm out and that's it done. Um, there's
Yeah,
more,
it's
yeah,
really
more things to be considered with it. And and then there's the emotional aspect as well, which is really tough on top of that.
it's it's so tough. So well, I mean, everyone listening knows my business, Not Spark Scrunch, the influencer marketing platform and agency, and I co-founded that business with a partner. And he left the business first, just went, nah, I'm out, not interested. So that was interesting to navigate. Then we separated, as you know, and it's interesting. We weren't married, but apparently, after you've been together for 10 years, it's exactly the bloody same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then during that, so we still had to go through family courts, like document the business, all of this rigmarole. And then he passed away before that was all signed off. So then I had to
Oh,
essentially separate with his family, so his estate. And you're just spot on. You just don't think about that. You know, you go into new businesses are like new relationships. And it's like, I think it's amplified when it's with somebody who you're in a relationship with. You just have this like,
yeah.
oh my God, we could take on the world. You know, this is going to be fantastic. We're going to build the empire together. And, you know, you very quickly, as you navigate running the business together, go, oh, okay, I didn't realize, you know, we'd have to navigate, you know, roles and responsibilities and this side of a personality that I've never seen before. And then
Yeah.
and then, as you say, like exiting, which, you know, people really don't think about. It is so complicated and so emotional. It's just, yeah, I don't know if we have enough conversations about that. You know,
Totally.
a lot
Yeah.
of things we
I
talk
don't
about.
think we do at all. And it just
Mhm.
feels icky and it's uncomfortable. And who wants to talk about that stuff? But isn't the best time to have hard conversations when any relationship is in a good place? We'll say, hey, can we have this
Yeah.
hard conversation about this thing? I know it feels uncomfortable, but could we just, start the conversation around anything, any type of
Yes.
relationship that you have? It's much better to have that conversation than the alternative when it's highly emotional, you're stressed, the communication is difficult. Um, that's tough. That's really, really, really tough. So
Mhm.
yeah, and ultimately, you're in a partnership. I mean, whether you're married or, like, to your point, if you're
Yeah.
living together, you're in a legal partnership, and you want to leave a legal partnership in Australia, at least. There's things that need to be done. Again, you can't just dust your hands and go, I don't want to have any part of this anymore. There's often, documents to sign and tax bills to pay and things that need to happen. So yeah, that's been like such a fascinating part, and even the part of getting your business valued. Traditionally service based businesses, those kind of more trade style businesses, they don't. There's not a lot of value in them. People aren't paying much money for them. If anything, they're
Yeah.
wanting assets. They're wanting, maybe if there's some contracts that are there, that's what they're looking for. And again, you might have put your heart and soul into something and that continues. How do you find a fair number when you could go to 10 different business valuers and they could value it in 10 different ways? Which one do you choose?
Mm.
So, there's also a lot of black gray area. It's not as black and white as going, well, we'll do dit, 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 and that'll be it. It's very
Yeah.
gray. So again, I think when there's not clarity, that's where we get a lot of uncertainty in our life, which can create a lot of anxiety and worry and all of those things. So I don't know if at the moment I have any words of advice to give anyone, because I feel like I'm still kind of still process. I'm totally out of that business now. We managed to
Mhm.
sort it out quite relatively quickly. But yeah, yeah, I'm still processing and reflecting of, yeah, it is a difficult part to come out. So maybe we can just have more empathy for people who, as they're ending businesses or finishing one thing
Yes.
maybe to try something else. There can be a transition time there, and that can often be a good time to check in with people around that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think it's interesting because as well, we tend to celebrate the, I guess, revenue success or, PR headlines or perceived milestones. And that's kind of the thing that warrants posting on Instagram and,
Yeah.
having those conversations. But I think that realistically, more people are probably going through harder transition phases, whether it be, change, even if it's not business related, but, changing a job, starting a new career, being let go, ending a marriage, whatever it might be. Like there are so many times in our lives where we do go through these transition periods. And it's interesting because I think that is what sets us up for the ultimate, whatever it is we plan to do with our life. It's not, we don't all wake up, finish high school and go, oh, this is the fabulous empire I'm going to build and launch in. Like it doesn't happen. We need all of these life experiences. We need to try things and figure out that we don't like them anymore to actually ultimately find the thing that we want to do with our lives. I'm using air quotes because that's the
Yes.
thing that we
Yeah.
always talk about. It's interesting. I had a moment on a couple of months ago, actually, and I was just so excited about what we're doing at Spark. And I went, wow, it's taken me until I'm 40, multiple different businesses, a corporate career, blah, 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 blah. And I went, wow, it's taken me that long to actually figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life and like my
Yeah.
mission and what I'm so passionate about. I always used to look at other people, even though I've had successful businesses, but I used to look at other people and think, I wonder if I will ever care like they care about the mission that they're on. And it only just hit me now that I'm about to turn 40. And I was like, I think it's just so interesting. We just celebrate these big things and not so much of the, oh, awesome, you tried that and it didn't work out. Or awesome, let's
Mm.
have a new career. Or awesome, let's find a new partner or whatever. Or like just be happy being alone, whatever it is. The more I think that we can normalize and celebrate the fact that we are going into a next season of life, I don't think that can be a bad thing.
No, not at all. And as you say that, what comes to mind for me, um, as you talk about, really finding that mission, that purpose piece now for you, is I
Mm,
feel like I spent the first half of this 50 years doing things out of my comfort zone, lots of travel, lots of big jobs, that was all about me proving something to
mm,
myself. I'm proving I can do it. I'm proving that I'm capable, that I'm worthy. Like it's all about giving me something. And then
mm,
something changed. Um, probably closer to your age, um, where I started feeling like, I'm kind of a bit sick of that now, to be honest. I'm
yep.
it's so self-indulgent. I've ticked all the boxes. I could keep ticking the boxes, or I could start taking all of that and feel
Mm,
confident. I do feel really strong. I feel really confident. Nothing kind of, not that it doesn't phase me, but I just really back myself now. And I'm
yes.
okay with being vulnerable. I'm okay with showing that life isn't always roses and perfect. There's a lot of struggles behind the scenes. But I'm very much wanting to be of service to other people. And I know I've listened to um, your podcast many times, and that seems to come up with a lot of people that you talk
Mm,
to within the Spark community, with we're doing different things but want to be of service, which I think is a
yes.
value system. um, how you do that many different ways, but that's how I feel. It's like, how can I be of service? What can I do to help, to shape, um, to to teach, to hold
Mm,
space for? What does that look like? And so I'm much more outwardly focused on others and my part in facilitating that. But I think that's, for me anyway, that's been an age and experience thing. Not to say I don't want to indulge in some nice things for me from time to time, but just not my whole focus. Like my whole
yeah.
focus has absolutely shifted. Gosh, I'm so grateful for that, because I think I'd just be quite selfish and indulgent. if I didn't have something else. It's really helped me grow as a human being to be there for
Mm.
other people. So yeah, I definitely resonate with what you're saying.
I think that's such a beautiful perspective. I know how hard it is firsthand, and I know how easy it is to not have perspective, and have those days that are just, oh my effing God, are you kidding me? Like, how did I get here? And really spiral, spiral, spiral. Did you find you coached yourself through thinking of you as a coach? Did you put your own coaching hat on to get through those periods, or do you have a coach, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, I think probably all of the above at different
Mm,
times. So I don't feel like people necessarily need a coach all the time or need a mentor all the time. I think um, I a big focus that I have when I'm working with people is to check, what does your support network look like? Because
yeah.
it really gives a big insight into someone's life and their ability to navigate through different things. So whether that's, I've got a bunch of girlfriends who are all high achievers, and we go and we have drinks and we kind of chew the fat that we're not getting into details, but we're kind of sharing, how we're
Mm,
feeling about things. Fantastic. Whether it's I've got people that I, do my exercise with, or I, you know, go and, have this other hobby, this other thing, or whether I've got a coach, or whether I have a mentor that we meet casually and I really enjoy that, or whatever it looks like.
mm,
But I think that really having a support network is critical for just in general as a human being, having
yeah.
people around you that you can share different things of your life. You can um, open up in different ways. I do believe that often having someone externally can be really helpful. So in a coaching sense, say like in a corporate environment, having someone who's not in your business in the business, where you can say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really lost. I don't know
Mm,
if I'm capable. I don't know if I'm good enough. Like you don't want to say that internally. You want to, as in to a coworker, a boss. No way.
yeah. Yeah.
You want to, but if you're feeling it, then being able to share that. So I think it's really about having a support network. And I've done all the things at different times, but I think I've always got a support network, and as I've got older, even navigating this year, which has been incredibly difficult, um, I've I've prioritized. I've kept my circles small. I've done
Mm,
exercise every single day. I have reduced drinking alcohol. I've been journaling. I've been doing all the things. Whereas if I was in this situation in my mid-20s, I would have got drunk all the time and made some poor choices. Let's just say that, because I just didn't have the ability to be able to have
mm,
that perspective of going, I will be fine, but there's some things that I can do that will help that and assist that, and going and seeing a therapist. All of those things I know are
yeah.
helpful, versus when I didn't have that. Yeah, when I was younger, I didn't have that perspective. It just was like, yeah, probably just going out and dancing the night away with
Oh,
whoever.
yes, I remember those days.
Yes, yes, yes.
If only it's actually hilarious. I was thinking that the other day. So I'm like, if only they would, let us dance the night away, but at like 7 p.m. at an age appropriate hour. But there is actually what is their names? Lisa and someone, I can't
Yes,
remember. They've just done this, like a disco club
I
for
yeah, I went
ladies.
I went to one in Brisbane. Yeah, went to one in
Shoo!
Brisbane about
Oh my
3 months
God.
ago. Oh my god, it was so much. My
Was
my
it the
I wore
best?
heels. It was so much fun. Music was
Wow.
great, but my legs the next day I could hardly walk, like because I'd worn
Yeah.
heels. I could hardly walk. I just was like, this is so painful. I can't. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was great.
Oh my
So
God. That is
yes,
so cool. That is good therapy. I do like that.
that is
Um,
good therapy. Absolutely.
it's really interesting because I think about the way, I don't know, I've always thought, sometimes, and I think especially women, we do struggle to ask for help. And I
Hmm.
think about athletes, right? I think about how an athlete who is somebody who wants to be at the top of their game, has a support network. So therapists, nutritionists, sports coach, depending on what field they're in, this coach, that coach. And I
Oh
always
yeah.
looked at that and I thought, you know what? Well, I want to be the best I can be at life. So what does that mean to me? It means that I need to look after my health and wellness. I need people who know, like you said earlier in the conversation, the people who you want to bring in business who have skills that you and expertise that you don't. You do need to be able to talk to someone, whether it's in a therapist capacity, coach capacity, mentor capacity. And I've always thought about that as my like life board. We have a board for our business, and they're people from different industries. And it's interesting because as someone who has a board for Scrunch, you can't really tell them what's and all every time. So I've always loved this idea of creating my own life board where I have this group of people who are my support network for different areas of my life. And I do love that you just said around at different stages of your life, you do need different things. So I think it's important to actually just stop and reflect and kind of think about, well, I want to be the best I can be, and that looks different for every person. So who do I need to bring into my life that will be that support network for me?
That's right. Oh, 100%. And you can always find, there's always people to find, and even if it
Yeah.
leads you on from one place, there's always something to learn if you've got that kind of open mind.
Mm.
Um, I think, time is the resource that is most precious. So you don't want to waste time, but often you do need to kind of slow down, I think, to speed up in some regards, slowing
Mm.
down to reflect, slowing down to take a moment to kind of navigate what are you doing rather than this busy train that we often get on, whether it's with our thoughts, with our action. I've got to be busy, I've got to do stuff, I've got to do, oh my God, I
Mm.
need more, 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 and really in those moments it's about being more grounded and slowing it down, going, what's going on, where am I at, what do I actually need, do I need to change a little bit, and then
Yeah.
you go. So I think it's kind of like this, um we need times to just slow down, which, to your sports analogy, that's what sport they, let's have a look at your game, let's have a look at how you did, what do we need to do, let's check in. So how can we do that for ourselves?
Mm.
And often having, whether it's a community where you can come in and have your wine chats together, whether it's an individual or people, whatever it might be, that can provide those little markers of, let me just slow down and reflect on that rather than just the busyness, because I see this all the time, um, with individual clients. It's one of the things about having a mentoring or a coaching space is it allows people to slow down. It allows people to
Mm.
reflect, to take a moment, which just sounds like, but I can do that myself. Sure, but are
Do
you?
you?
Because
Yeah.
most, do you?
Mm.
Most people are like, what's next? What's next? And then if you can actually go, do you know what? I can see that I always do that thing, or I've noticed that when this happens, I tend to do that. That's something I'm going to change that. I'm going to do something different. And I think that's a big part of the power of those types of relationships. It's really about creating a space, an environment for you to be much more intentional, get much more
Mm.
clarity. And with that, then you have that confidence to go, okay, I'm on the right track. This is where I'm going. Because I do think, particularly in small business, and if you haven't done that thing before, or if you're taking a new job, um, a lot of the time there's just not clarity. Like you kind of not quite sure what it looks like or where you're going. You kind of got a general idea. I've heard people say, if you just told me what to do, I'll do exactly that thing. I just need to know, and you're going, if only it was that easy.
Yeah.
But I do think we have this innate desire of wanting certainty that gives us control, um,
Mm.
makes us feel more calm, gives us confidence. But yeah, you have to work at getting that.
Totally. And I think it's really interesting because as you're talking about that and people holding space for you, I think one of the biggest things I've noticed with coaches, mentors, support systems, community calls that I jump on, oftentimes it's somebody asking me a question that I probably wouldn't ask myself. And it's almost that, someone to be there to just dig a little bit that actually forces me to stop. And I go, oh, I haven't really thought about it like that. And it's sort of, it's
Yeah.
almost that, because I even, your overachieving brain can steamroll this. Oh yeah, I know, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, everything's fine, everything's fine. And someone just goes, what about this? And you're like, oh shit, and it does actually, having somebody to really like kind of see through your bullshit a little bit and see
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah.
just running, um, is just so valuable. I think, there's just something so powerful about having someone or a group of people who will hold space for you, but also hold you accountable to yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Agreed. There's an author, Michael Bungay Stanier, I think is his name. He's an Aussie guy who wrote um, The Coaching Trap. I think a bunch of other books as well. Um,
Mm,
and he talks about being curious just a little bit longer.
yeah,
So
okay.
rather than it being like, this is my challenge, be
Mm,
curious a bit longer. So often what people present with, particularly in uh, whether it's a business perspective or whether it's about mindset perspective or how they're showing up, how they're operating, is what they present with tends not to be the thing that really is the core issue. And it's only, so if someone says, oh Danny, I'm really struggling to get you know to sell my program, and you're going, okay, let's fix that problem and we'll go with what you've said. Then 10 minutes down you find out, oh, you actually don't even have a program, you haven't even created it yet. Oh well, often
yeah.
people are just presenting with the symptom. And for other people, you want to be more curious, you want to find out
Mm,
what's really going on, ask more questions. And Michael talks about, it's not, it tends not to be, he'll say he has a series of questions which you can Google to find them out, but it's kind of like, what's your challenge, or what's the issue, and what else, and what else, and what, and you basically ask that question about 5 times, so you get
mm,
all of it, and you just exposing more of what's really going on. And then it's kind of like, and then what, you know how, where do you need help? I can't remember his exact questions, but they're really good. um, because yeah, we often put the problem we have often actually isn't the core issue, it's a symptom of
yeah.
the core issue. And so just staying much more curious, asking more questions, and not falling into that trap of, oh well, let's talk about that then. Yeah, I think can
I
be really valuable.
It's so true. I have been a salesperson my whole life. That was my corporate career. That's the role I took when I started my first business. It is the role that I take in all of my businesses. Absolutely love it. But as a result, people often ask for sales mentoring, sales coaching. I've created sales courses, da 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 da. And it's so funny because I guess I am a natural salesperson, which is great. But I just thought when I taught people how to sell, I would be teaching them the things to do. And it just blew my mind that I could tell somebody exactly what steps to do, but the biggest thing holding someone back from selling more stuff in their business was their mindset. And I was like, well, hang on, I don't do anything about mindset. I don't know how to deal with this, because the biggest problem people have is getting out of their own way. You were exactly right. They would come to me and they would be like, I don't know how to sell. I'm not selling enough. I need to make more money. What do I do? I'm like, do that. And then they couldn't do it. And I was like, what the hell? I'm telling you exactly what to do. Why aren't you doing it? And it was actually not that they had a sales problem. It's that they had a confidence problem. They had a mindset problem. They, had imposter syndrome. It was all of these things that were actually holding them back from sending the email or reaching out to the person on LinkedIn or picking up the phone or whatever it was. And I was like, wow, I can't tell anyone anything to do, because that's not even the problem. The problem is actually the internal work for the majority of us. And it actually got me thinking, I know with the Spark mentoring, one of the biggest things that you focus on is that mindset and clarity. Do you think this is a universal problem that everybody has?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's so fascinating, and it's so interesting that it just comes up over and over again. The
Mm,
reason that you're a natural at something is because it flows, it's easy. You think can't everyone do this? It's so easy. Like, I don't even necessarily think about it. And then you go and try something that's out of your comfort zone. And you're like, why is it
Oh
so
my God, I can't do it. I
hard?
can't do
I
it.
can't do it. I can't do it. Why do we think that, like, is it achievable that we can all do everything, or that everything is going to be easy for us? I mean, I don't think that's. I think we're capable of having workarounds on things. You might never
Mm,
be the person who loves doing something, but can you get better at something? Absolutely. And it's that awareness. I read this really interesting report. It was a research around self-awareness, and it says there's a bunch of them, but the one that I was reading was basically saying that I think something around that 85% of people think that they're self-aware, but the reality is it's about 10 to 15% of
yeah.
people are actually self-aware. And so we're
Yes.
all thinking, oh, I know this about myself, whatever. But really, we're quite blinded. We've all got our own blind spots, biases, belief systems that kind of hold us into this um, narrative, or this kind of framework, which, unless you've got someone else highlighting, oh,
Mm.
you can't do that, or oh, you find that, oh, I can't, then you start going, oh god, like, yeah, it's so interesting how that all plays out. But yeah, I think there's things for everybody. That, yeah, some things fall easy, some things are hard. I do think there's some people who have more of that, willing to give things a go, or that growth mindset that can be helpful. Because it is, you are, if you push people too far out of their comfort zone, they can often get into a place that is really uh that they kind of freeze up on. Like, it's helpful to a point to push people out of their comfort zone, and then it can just be a real threat in the brain. um and so it's navigating how far is enough, to get the best out of people, to move them through that without them going, I can't, I'm done, I can't do that, it just feels too scary or out of my comfort zone. So there's a real balance to keep people
Mm.
with, perhaps it's, well, what's one thing you can do. And for somebody going, hey, that's like such a tiny step, for others that might be really getting them out of their comfort zone a lot. And so understanding that the humanness that we all have, that it's a human part of our human conditioning, but how can we work with people in their individuality, without judging people or making people feel bad, just going, okay, this is a reality, you're wanting to do more of this, that feels uncomfortable, how do we get you there, what might that look like for you?
Yeah. And I think it's so powerful. Just even that clarity around, what do you really want? Do you want it because you want it, or do you want it because somebody else said that's what you should do? And really unpacking, because also I find as well, if you don't really want something, you won't take those steps, you won't push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And I think there's real power in, again, just stopping and having those conversations and digging deeper into why you even want to go after a particular goal or a particular thing in life. And, having somebody there to unpack that with you can just be so helpful. I think oftentimes we do get stuck in our own heads and our own to-do lists and our own Instagram feeds telling us all the things that we're supposed to be doing with our lives. And, the older I get, I say this, the more I am realizing that, if I don't design a life that I love, it's going to be pretty hard to get out of bed every morning.
100%,
Mm.
100%. And one thing I would add to that, which I really love that sentiment, in that direction, it's such a great reminder, is something that I focus a lot on, is really is joy. Joy
Mm.
is one of my core values. I grew up with a dad who was full of joy and said, in his Scottish accent, if you can't have a laugh, you may as well be dead. Um, but
I
but
love it.
but but really about, what is bringing you joy. I talk to so many people, and they're so focused on their life, their work, their business, their whatever. And I'm like, tell me about, how does joy play out in your life? Like, what brings you joy? Share that with me. And sometimes it's like, oh, I love my work. I love it's great. And sometimes like, oh, I don't know. They struggle with that, and I think that's such a missed opportunity to, like, be, to your point, be intentional around creating the life that you're wanting. And there's certain things we all have to do. in order to survive in this modern world. But
Mm.
how you choose to show up, you have control over that, and being intentional around that, and being intentional around, we do only have one life, and that life is relatively short. And what are the things I love being around these people, or oh, I get so much joy from doing that thing, or really loving, for me, there's nothing better than having a great conversation with somebody. Today, I'm feeling my joy cup right now, very, very
I was
full,
just thinking that.
talking with you. Yeah.
I
And it's
know.
like
I was just
that
sitting
to
there.
me is that's a life well lived, of having that ongoing,
Mm.
versus when you're in a time of your life where you're like going, I just don't feel that. So for me, I often use that as a little litmus test, as where's the joy coming through for you, and whatever that might look like. There's not a formula to it, but yeah, I think particularly when you're starting up a business, growing a business, you can get so lost in the day to day hustle of trying to make things work, what it should look like, what it's not. Um, and yeah, I think there's an opportunity for people to just tap into that. What brings you joy? Even if there's just one thing today that you can take a brief moment to be
Mm.
present and go, "Oh, this is joyful. This is bringing me joy." Oh, yeah, and just enjoy that for a moment. I can really, such a simple thing can just, yeah, it can really help.
I love it so much. Joe, you are the best, and I could talk to you all day. I always love to wrap up these podcasts with one last piece of advice. So, reflecting on your time in business, your career, your everything of life, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to another woman in business?
Great question. Um, I would say it's one piece of advice. Just one. That's a problem. I look
I
and I'm like,
know, tell me about it. I'm like, we need a whole other podcast for this one question.
just for that. Um, I think I think don't overthink things. I think we can get so much in our own head around, do I do this? Is this the right move? Should I do that? Is that the right move? Who knows? Who knows what the right move is? You know, go and do the thing, try the thing, give the thing a crack, whatever the thing is in your life that you want to experience. Because it's all about being in action, and it's the energetic kind of reaction of doing things, being in action, that then creates other opportunities, other um, ideas, the meeting of people, the meeting of minds, the different things that will happen in your life will happen because you've tried something. You're not just sitting thinking about it. And there's no guarantees in anything at all.
Mm.
And so I just say, like, give things, don't overthink things, and try it. If you're interested, if you're curious, go down that path. There's very few paths that you can go down that that are the end of the road. Generally, the path will just lead you to a different path. And I've often felt in my own life, God, I could have just got here so much faster if I'd just done this. I seem to detour all the time. I'm always detouring, but I'm learning. There's obviously a reason for that. So
Mm.
it's not about getting it perfect. It's just go where your desire is taking you. Um, there's a lot of things around that, as in, of course, you don't want to be unsafe. You don't want to, you know, you want there to be some support, whatever. But yeah, take some chances, take some risks. Don't overthink things too much, and if you can, give it a try. And particularly when, as a 50-year-old, I was going to say, when I was younger, in some ways it was easier just to take some risk. I'm just going to go and travel. I'm just going to take that
Mm.
job somewhere else. I could do those things. So it was just me. Um, Whereas now I have children, a family, that I wouldn't be able to do that. But so it looks different, but I feel like the mindset's still the same thing. Give things a try. Don't overthink it. Whereas I think often as we get older, we want more security, more safety. It feels like there's more at risk.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I just encourage people to, yeah, keep trying, keep pushing, be curious.
I love it. I love it so much. And wildly, the phrase "don't overthink it" has now come up for me twice today. So I feel like I needed to hear that. Oh my God. You are the best,
Is worth
Joe.
it.
Thank you so much for coming on the Spark podcast today and sharing your wisdom. It's been absolutely incredible to have you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been beautiful to be here.